Good morning. This is R.N. Bhaskar from BKBB, an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. And this is a channel which comes to you every week with a policy analysis or a business story or a conversation. But at this time, at 8:15 in the morning, we bring to you a program called News Behind the News. It's an every weekday morning at 8:15. And what we do is pick up some important headlines, which we look at very closely and try to find out what else can we talk about, which the papers have not talked about. That is why I call it News Behind the News. And yes, please click the subscribe button if you have not subscribed already. Please click the like button. It helps us enormously. But most important, please tell all your friends and your associates about us, because we do things that many people don't do, and we'd like more people to know about this. And today, we are going to try discussing 4 stories, and each of them is important. And my co-anchors in this entire program are Katya. Welcome, Katya. And there's Anurag. Welcome, Anurag. And there's Isha. Nice to see you, Isha. So, among the 4 of us, we're going to try covering 4 different titles. And the titles we hope to cover are given in your screen. The first title that we will talk about is arbitration. The Supreme Court last week came out with a pronouncement that arbitral awards could be modified. Now, I believe that could be problematic. The second story that we're looking at is equally interesting. It is how people have taken stock market gains to repay the debts. The third story is about how India's financial position, its economy, could suffer because of tensions with Pakistan. And the fourth story is that a state in South India, Telangana, becomes a beneficiary of road construction projects, which will come out in the next 3 to 4 years. Okay, let's see the first story. In a very surprising manner, a 5-member bench came out with a verdict in the ratio of 4:1 that arbitral awards could be modified under specific conditions. Nothing wrong with them. But in 2012, the Constitution bench of the Supreme Court said that arbitration awards should not be meddled with unless there's a compelling reason. And the compelling reasons the countries took was a Section 34, which allowed courts to interfere with arbitral award if it affected national policy. Now, that was a situation which could be interpreted in many ways. The timeline is given there. Those who are interested can read the timeline, how it happened. But it goes back to a situation where in 1990s, an Australian company, White & Company, negotiated with Coal India to set up a project. Disputes arose, and Coal India did not pay. White & Company went to the courts. The courts did not rule in favor of White & Company. They went to a higher court. They said, sorry, this is a public sector company. We can't decide. So he went to the UK courts, to the Arbitration Council, because there was a bilateral agreement, bilateral investment treaty, or BIT, between Australia and India. So they went to London. London ruled in favor of the Australian company. It was overruled by the Calcutta High Court. And then this company finally went to Singapore, and Singapore courts put a penalty on the government of India for creating the rules. Panicking, the government put all the cases on the back burner. Backroom discussions took place. A constitution bench was set up, and 2012, that decision was taken. Okay, that's fine. 2014, Modi comes to power, and immediately all the BITs were cancelled. Some countries which had BITs pending refused to cancel it. Since they're treaties, you can't unilaterally cancel a treaty. And two of the beneficiaries of the non-cancellation were Netherlands and Singapore. And if you look at all the FDI proposals that come into India from overseas, they all come through Netherlands or through Singapore to circumvent the ban on BITs. Now, the Supreme Court says arbitral awards, and I suppose it could also mean domestic arbitral awards, can be reopened. You go for arbitration because you don't want to go through a lengthy process in the courts. Either you trust arbitration, you don't trust arbitration, don't reopen cases. Or you set up rules for arbitration council very clearly. This decision of the Supreme Court is likely to create other problems. In the meantime, because India cancelled all BITs and wanted all BITs to be signed only with a clause that they will not approach an arbitration council without first exhausting domestic legal avenues, upset all countries, which is that no European country wants to sign an FTA or a BIT with India. Many countries across the world don't want to sign a BIT with India unless those clauses are retained that they have the right to go to arbitration. Only two countries agreed to sign the revised BIT, and both those countries are countries with whom we have no business: Belarus and Cambodia. All the big countries with whom we trade have refused to sign. And now the Supreme Court judgment could further complicate FDI investments into India. So, while the court may be right in declaring that they can be reopened, given the past history of what India has done, it could create complications. Anyway, that was the first story. It was long because it has a long history, but it's important. Let's go to the second story, which is very important also and very interesting, and that's Katya's story on how loans are being repaid. Katya, could we have you?
So bull run is always good news. But it actually got bad news for SBI. So I'll tell you how it happened. So in FY25, we've seen an IPO bull run last for over 2 years. But in FY25, something interesting happened. SBI's loan growth got affected because a large chunk of corporate loans had repaid their debt using equity earnings. If you remember, the interest rate scenario was a little different. We have just started cutting interest rates, but last year the interest rates were still high. RBI was refusing to bring them down. But equity, on the other hand, was easily available. It was free flowing. It was right there. So a lot of companies, both small and big, central PSUs, as per SBI, it said it during its Q4 results, is that they had paid back a large chunky large bulky payments back using the equity earnings. So and it was a very unusual prepayment of corporate loans. So as much and that is also not the good bad news. Actually, corporate loans have been growing very slowly, much slowly. And then there are a lot of companies who are refusing to take money out of the loans also. See, there are a lot of corporate loans, as much as 1.7 lakh crore, with loans which have been sanctioned, but they are not disbursed as yet. All this has affected SBI's growth. It was supposed to grow at around 14 to 15%. Its growth was only came in at 12%. So this is a very interesting turn of events. The equity party won't last long, but corporate loan slowdown is a very, very, very big issue. People are not taking loans in the first place, and those who are taking loans are prepaying them early. And in general, capital investments have also been slowing down. So back to you, sir.
Interesting story. My only fear is that while this is good, they are repaying the loans. But the fact that they invest in the stock market, nobody's investigated whether the loans that were taken which were invested in the stock market. But that's a separate story. And yes, that they're paying the loans back is a very healthy sign, is a good sign. Thanks, Katya, for that story. And now let's go to the next story, which is equally interesting, and that is Anurag's story.
Good morning. Today's report is about India's spending spree in defense post the terror attack in Pahalgam, and and how will it have an implication on India's fiscal strength. A few days ago, India secured the Hawkeye 360 tech deal with USA worth $131 million for maritime surveillance. The deal includes the Sea Vision software, which supports maritime operations and is hosted by US Department of Transportation. It further includes technical assistance, field team training, remote software and analytical support, access to Sea Vision documentation, and other related elements of logistics and program support. The principal contractor will be Hawkeye 360, located in Virginia, US. The company possesses satellites which provide precise mapping of radio frequency emissions and signals coming from ships, aircraft, vehicles, and coastal systems. The US private company is patented with its advanced techniques to locate vessels which can turn on dark mode to sail on without being detected through satellites or automatic identification systems. The Indo-Pacific represents one of the most highly trafficked regions in the world, an epicenter of global trade and waters rich in resources. And equipped with such technologies, the Indian Navy can even improve its checks on illegal fishing, smuggling, trafficking, and piracy, along with its defense. Moreover, India has been tightening its air defense, and on May 4th, Indian Army received Russian origin Igla S missiles worth rupees 260 crores. These short range missile launchers can take care of enemy fighter aircrafts, choppers, and drones and are expected to strengthen the Indian air defense troops, especially on the Western Front. Along with the Russian missiles, Indian Army has also issued tenders for buying 48 more launchers and around 90 missiles for very short range air defense systems. According to Moody Ratings, a report which was released yesterday, that says that escalating tensions will hit Pakistan's economy hard, and sustained escalation in tension with India are likely to weigh on Pakistan's growth and hamper the country's ongoing fiscal consolidation. Comparatively, the macroeconomic conditions in India would be stable, bolstered by moderating but still high levels of growth. But its report on tariffs and trade turmoil undermines business confidence, leading to reduced investment in the Asia Pacific region. And with increasing defense spending, it could strain the economy more. What's your take on this, sir?
Absolutely. In 2019, Xi Jinping has recommended to the government of India that the entire region should be declared a zone of peace: China, India, Pakistan. India did not respond to that request. And now, with our strained finances, we'll be spending more on war. Instead of working towards peace, will end up working towards war. That's unfortunate, but that's a situation. And that takes us to the last story. But before that, may I remind you that after this, we'll take a couple of questions. If you have any questions, send them to us. But Isha, could we have your story?
Hello, good morning. The story I'm bringing you today is from Business Standards, and it's about the road construction projects that the government hopes to take up in Telangana. So, on Monday, the Union Minister announced that the BJP led NDA government will undertake road construction projects worth 2 lakh crores in the next 3 to 4 years, building upon the 5,000 kilometers of national highways that already exist within the state. Speaking after laying the foundation stone for the national highway in the Kumran Bhim Asifabad district, Gadkari, the Minister for Road Transport and Highways, said that in the past 10 years, the length of national highways in Telangana have more than doubled, and these plans would only support them in continuing this upward trajectory. The Narendra Modi led central government is committed to Telangana's development, he said. Roadworks are continuously being undertaken in 33 districts of Telangana, and so far, works worth rupees 1.25 lakh crores have been completed. The development that you have seen is just the tip of the iceberg, he says. In the coming times, in the next 3 or 4 years, we are going to take up work worth rupees 2 lakh crores in Telangana. And he says that it is my belief that after the completion of these works, Telangana's image will transform. Gadkari also offered to take up water conservation projects under the centre's Amrit Sarovar scheme in Telangana and sought cooperation from the Chief Minister Revnath Reddy and other ministers to complete the construction in a sustainable manner. According to Kishan Reddy, the BJP president for Telangana, these roads and highway projects will ensure safer, smoother connectivity between Telangana, Maharashtra, and Andhra Pradesh, while also unlocking new opportunities for trade, tourism, and investment. Last month, Gadkari had announced a plan of 10 lakh crores for road construction and development across the country, a plan which was mostly focused on eastern states and largely dismissive of the southern ones. Telangana, with this new plan, is the only southern state to receive a large budget for road construction and development at a time when the center is shunning the south. This is an extremely interesting development. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this story, sir. Thank you.
Isha, you're right, it's a very interesting development. And yes, it's good to have at least one southern state. It should go to all the states equally. The second thing the government should be careful is there are no cost and time overruns. During Vajpayee's government, that was also a BJP government. The Golden Quadrilateral is built without any time or cost overruns. Why can't this government do the same? CAG reports show that at least 50% cost overrun has been there in almost all roadways, in addition to which there are time overruns. But yes, it's good. Thank you for the news. And that, in a way, brings us to the end of today's session. And once again, a reminder, please click the subscribe button. Please click the like button. And most important, tell your friends about us. We need the numbers to grow. And this takes us to the first question. If arbitration is brought into question, does this mean that projects will slow down? Of course, they will slow down. But more importantly, if arbitration loses meaning, if the system of adjudication becomes complicated, investment will stop coming in. There will be no projects at all. And that is a danger that India must avoid. India has created a situation over the past 7 decades where the process of getting justice, of resolving disputes, has been extremely cumbersome, which is why arbitration is important. There's a second question about roadways. Why is the current government not capable of preventing cost overruns? Preventing cost overruns requires good management skills. It looks like the government does not have a good project implementation manager. Then there is another question that's coming in, and that question is about how do we look at the defense equipment being purchased. Look, defense equipment relates to security, relates to national defense. Nobody can question that. But what you have to start doing is start working towards peace. And that, in a way, because of time constraints, ends my session now. Have a wonderful day ahead. I hope you enjoy yourselves. And do log in again tomorrow when we bring to you some more interesting stories which we can take with you. Take care. Good luck. Have a nice day.